On the second line from the top on page Chov Dalet. So we explained yesterday the principle of saying that after the tzimtzum, there is in fact a supremacy of keilim over the yesh. But it has to be understood, this superiority is not in terms of the message, the actual oil that the keilim represent. The keilim, the oils are Ellul. But in terms of their relationship to Atma, to the source, and how they represent the original reality itself, the keilim represented completely, whereas the oil it's drawn from there, but it comes through the tzimtzum, but it's a reduced oil.
Just to see if I caught that.
Huh?
Just to see if I heard this. By virtue of their relationship to the source and their representation of reality.
Right.
And here, representation meaning not any kind of or, but rather reality itself.
Exactly right. The keilim participated in the sense of the tzimtzum, but there what was left after the tzimtzum untouched. The keilim surfaced as a result of the removing of the oil, not by virtue of any kind of an additional step of creating the keilim. Whereas in oiros, the oiros are nimshach in a manner that they should be suited to be imbued in keilim. As we explained in the mashal of the Rav and the Talmud.
I mean, this is like saying that the tzimtzum left keilim just unto themselves.
Right. Unaffected. And you are pointing out, this is throughout when we talked about keilim. Keilim are not the result of the tzimtzum. Keilim exist in the source itself. But there they exist in a manner of being completely contained within the oil. We explained the principle of keilim. What are keilim doing in the source? What is the source? The atom, oil and soif, need the keilim for. It's oil and soif. He doesn't need to be presenting the oil to himself. We explained, this is an important insight, that the principle of keilim within the oil and soif is that in fact this is oil and soif. Meaning to say it's not confined to keilim, confined to a place where the oil is, but it is something which is true anywhere, everywhere. Even when you should completely conceal the brightness, there is the truth of it remaining. This is the keilim element inside the eye.
So
that's the keilim. After the tzimtzum, they stand for the etzem the way it is before the tzimtzum. Whereas the oyros represent also, they're also drawn from the original oir, but for the purpose of presenting it in a manner that's presentable, and it can be put into keilim.
but for the sake of making it presentable.
Right.
And the keilim are not here for the sake of receiving that light. They have a deeper purpose.
Keilim do not have a purpose.
Okay.
Keilim represents the truth of the Ayin Seif.
If we what we said a moment ago was that what are the keilim doing in Or Ein Sof? It was explained that there because Or Ein Sof is not limited to a place of light but can go every place. So that would seem like they're kind of secondary. That Or Ein Sof is the thing itself, and the keilim are going to be the vehicle.
Very good, very good. So here's what we understand. And this is the important point that we're trying to bring out over here. They're not secondary. Because this Ayin that in Sof can be any place, everywhere. This is the meaning of Ayin Sof. This is the meaning of infinity.
It's not a secondary element that it can also be exported.
Right. The meaning of infinity is that it is not limited to where it can be recognized. Like we said yesterday, several illustrations of this concept. We said on the worldly level, 1 and 1 is 2. 1 and 1 is 2 ones. 1 and 1 is 2 is a much richer, more intelligent insight, a concept. But 1 and 1 is 2. That depends on the talent of how much his seichel is developed, how intelligent he is. But if you have a Talmud who is not intelligent, whose intelligence first has to be drawn out, you have to then you say, okay, let me step down a bit. I'm going to show you that the principle of 2 ones. Count this. And then, once he's able to count and says, yes, there's 1 and there's another 1 and another 1 and that. And if you count them, normally you would say, how many 1s do you have? You would be able to give an overall number, how many 1s you have. Then the next step now you'll be able to start developing his seichel. Says, tell me, is it a difference between there having been only 1 or of having 2 ones? Is there a difference? Here is where we begin to develop his sense of value and so forth.
So these 2 ones that come before the sense of value.
These 2 ones, this is before the seichel altogether. It's not a seichel, as we mentioned many times too. Once it's not seichel.
It's just the material fact of life.
Fact of life is also too much of a compliment.
It's just materiality per se.
Per se.
And again, that is, we're pointing out here, that is, we can see that is more basic, but here we're saying that has a supremacy. That basic nature shows on something supreme.
If you want to go down and identify, where do you see the power, the godly power of creation? In two or in two at once?
So this stripped down materiality is gives better testimony about God's creative power than any level of seichel, eros, meaning. From a slightly different angle here, this that the keilim are kind of untouched. I always thought that tzimtzum means a withdrawal that leaves behind just this, call it a vacuum, halal, then into which is reintroduced light, which is the basis for everything, including keilim. But here we're kind of saying there's a factor, the rishini, which is untouched, and that's the real basis for keilim. Is that the difference here?
The principle of cholol within the Ayin Sof itself, like within the nefesh ha'odam, you cannot identify, distinguish the principle of a home and the principle of a cup. You understand what I'm saying? There's a human spirit, the dignity of the human soul. Everything that is human is included in that statement. And none of these things are identifiable within it. Where do they become identifiable? In the cholol, when he begins to act. Where the soul is not readily evident.
Okay, and it seems like there these keilim emerge from the human action, which is kind of based on light, based on purpose. But we seem to be saying keilim have a life unto themselves that precedes any human action, purpose. like one and one, came before any manipulation of them, any human activity.
Correct. What is it? At what level? Where would you define it? On the level of reality itself.
That's right. That's keilim.
In other words, if your Talmud doesn't have any seichel whatsoever, I can still show him that one, the principle of one-on-one.
Right, because it corresponds to his material.
What material? It's true, it's material, but that what material is from the vantage point of your human intellect. More correctly, it is from the vantage point, what did God create?
What did God?
In the initial creation, we're going to the basics. The initial creation, it was choshech, it was dark. Why was it dark? Light is an add-on to the world. Why is light an add-on? Because if light were revealed along with the initial creation, there would be no real world per se. It would be an idea. Of world, a worldly idea. But the presence of world per se would not be there. This is why working through the world is so challenging and so difficult, because it's a real world. And we have to refine this worldly reality. That's what the Alter Rebbe says. That there are two nefashos in every person. There's a nefesh ha'odom, nefesh ha'legis, and nefesh ha'bahami. Says a behema, an actual behema in a person. A behema that refuses to understand and to follow the light. And this is why we have to impose the light upon it. But we are told that if you do impose the light on it, eventually it will begin to appreciate it on its limited level.
Okay. And today we're hearing about how the behema has this kind of supremacy. It is, in a way, a truer representation of Ein Sof.
Of the human presence in the world.
Why would it be a truer representation? Why would not the real human face be Nefesh Elokis?
This we said many times before, but this is we said at one time or another, everything falls downwards. And the Alter Rebbe says, Tirutzum Einei Emes, the fact that they say, because this is gravity and all that, Einei Emes, this is not representing the truth. In fact, why does everything fall downwards? So we said The reason everything falls downward is because the whole creation represents the godly desire to be dira betachtoin. So the purpose of the creation is for the tachtoinim, not for the elyonim. In fact, in the Kavanah Elikis, tachtoinim have a supremacy than the elyonim.
Okay, but the dira is not built when you spend the day in bed, and the real human face is not the behemoth.
No.
So,
but it is to raise the behemoth to recognize that there is more than one.
To raise the behemoth. Okay. So the supremacy of keilim is not as they are unto themselves, or it is. It's the supremacy comes out when they get properly handled, or they're supreme in themselves.
The supremacy is definitely in themselves as they are. But why is it superior? It's such a lowly thing. Because you recognize then where it's coming from. Who made it? How did such entities come into being? There is no mile in the seichel of two ones. But there's a phenomenal, powerful statement that there's an infinite number of ones. When you say there's an infinite numerical thing, that's a concept. So there's an infinite number of ones, then you're talking about an infinite source. Then you are talking about a greater truth.
I thought we said there can't be an infinite number of
Huh?
ones. I thought we said there can't be an infinite number of ones.
Cannot?
Didn't we say that in the past? No?
No. Why?
No. I thought you said that before.
I guess I think I'm getting what's being said, but I think I'm having an issue where we seem to be saying that, you know, a pile of rocks is superior to a building, or the behemoth is superior to the man. And I think I get that there's a superiority in that they indicate base reality better than Oris do, better than Seichel does.
Again, what you're missing in your presentation is on the one Nakuda. Pile of rocks are insignificant relative to a building. What is the principle of pile of rocks? The power of the Creator's presence. And this is why when a human being with his intellect observes a pile of rocks, she says, wow, look what the Creator had provided us with. We can take this pile of rocks and we can build a building with it. Which means we can utilize it at our level and bring out the best in us. In other words, the point which I'm saying is that it must not, we're talking about superiority of mind and so forth. Ultimately, it is due to its relationship, to what it represents of the power of the Creator, the presence of the Creator.
Okay. Once that's recognized, why would it be that making the building is any progress? If the rocks are the work of the Creator, what gets added by creating a building?
The Creator created these rocks so that you can then take and make a dwelling out of it, representing and revealing the presence of the Creator. The rocks do not reveal it. The rocks do not reveal the presence of the Creator. Dira b'tachtina means to reveal the presence of the Creator. Where do these rocks come from? Rocks by themselves, on their own, do not say anything.
Okay. Why do the rocks do not reveal?
They don't reveal anything. They don't speak.
And a building does?
It does.
Why would the rocks not be the more unadulterated statement of Hashem?
It is.
Before it's manipulated by man and design,
It is. And this is why it entices men to go and use it. But that's only men who have intelligence. No, what is intent? How do you reveal that these rocks are a godly creation?
But also just to admire, no? Using is one level, but just to go and admire the mountain. To appreciate
the mountain is not a pile of rocks.
So there's both. There's admiring what God made.
You're talking already about the design.
And then there's using it. There's using materials.
That's a different level. But to listen to South Africans when they talk, you have to be careful.
So by using or developing, godliness is revealed.
That's right.
But as they are unto themselves, that's not the greatest statement, the greatest revelation. This is the supremacy, no?
It is. And this is where the great significance is of using these rocks to build a home. Because then the home is built from something that is fundamental real. You can build a home, a paper house. You can build a home from rocks. Beis HaMikdash was built exclusively from rocks. Mm-hmm. Not even wood. Wood is much easier to use in building than rocks.
Wait, no wood beams and stuff?
No wood beams. They were hidden. They were in certain places. Basically it was rock. This ingredient, this point, to reconnect it back to the Creator is extremely important. Otherwise we get lost in it.
Right.
I was reading briefly Steinsaltz's book, My Rebbe. Did you see it?
Yeah.
You read it?
You were reading last night, yeah.
Coincidential. Anyway, I just saw a few little things. interesting, I'm very, very surprised. So he says when there talks about spirituality and the heaven and so forth, and he says that the neshama in its correlationship with the body and experience in the world, the neshama, the other matter, a person acquires the self, sense of self. And from this, it seems that self itself is something which is just a result of human experience. I was thinking that there's a certain point that is missed. The sense of self is not due to a person's experience. The sense of self is due to his recognition that his experience is something which is given to him by God. God gives him the right for his experiences. Like I mentioned many times, ownership of land is not a conventional thing. Ownership is a godly truth. God gives the mandate for the person to own a piece of land.
Okay, so to buy this basis for self.
So the God is the one who gives a human being the sense that his presence here is real. Not because he claims it and fights for it. His presence is here, is real.
Mm-hmm.
He has the right to be here. He has a mandate to be here.
And that casts all his experiences in a different color, or that is his. Yeah.
It doesn't change the color, it changes its basis.
Right.
All right. This will be for this morning. This evening, in Mitzvah Shem. Hopefully, we'll have a larger minyan, mezuman.